Welcome to Meet the Hero League, and this episode is with Lynex of mYinsanity, and he will introduce mYinsanity to you. So Lynex, can you introduce mYinsanity to us?
Of course. Well, I will probably start with Dudi, our in-game leader. Then we have Shobi, our opper. Then we have Kompe, our German import. Well, import, he's playing in the Swiss team for quite a long time, so I wouldn't even consider him an import anymore. He's our support, lurker, Mr. Do-It-All, basically. Then we have Nico, who is our rifler. He's always behind my back to trade frag me. And then you have me, who just runs in and tries to make space and kill as many people as possible.
So what's your goal for this season?
My goal for the season is to make semifinals because we are a new team. We have been practicing for some time now, obviously, but I would say with more routine, it will be easier and things that some other Swiss teams definitely won't have because they always change rosters. So the season goal for us, or for me personally, is at least semifinals. Obviously, the goal is always first. That is what we want to do. That's why we play. But I think a realistic goal would be semifinals and hopefully onward from there.
So why should we cheer for mYinsanity?
Well, I think mYinsanity is a great org. You can root for the org, obviously, but if you're wanting to know why to root for the CS team for us, I would say that we are all good people, so great people with good personalities. I don't think that any one of us is known as a bad influence or it's not known in a good way in Switzerland. So we're also a young team that can hopefully do some damage in the league. So if you want to see hopefully some good CS, you could cheer for us, obviously.
So Lynex, which team are you most excited to play against?
I would say I'm excited to play against all teams this season, actually, because I think this season is by far one of the strongest seasons, like team-wise. Like every team, in my opinion, could beat any team if they play on their best. You have the favorites with CG and GAIJIN, obviously, but I still think those can be beaten. So I really look forward to any and every team, to be honest, because yeah, everyone can beat anyone. So it will be a very interesting season, in my opinion.
But if you had to choose one team, which one would you take? Maybe one of the favorites, or?
Well, I would choose Red Instinct, but they're not in the league anymore, so that's
Yeah.
fell away. But otherwise, I think Bubbles will just be interesting for me because I'll play against two of my ex-teammates, so that's always a fun to play against to see how have they developed, how have we developed, or I developed. So I think Bubbles will also be a very interesting game.
So which team do you think is the strongest team in the Swisscom Hero League?
I think it's a close call, but I think it will be GAIJIN, just because obviously they have Rigon, but all other players in there are also very talented. A close second will be CG, obviously. But as we can see, CG can beat GAIJIN and the other way around. So it's hard to say who will win it in the end, because if someone has a good day on one team and someone has a bad day on the other team, it can flip the table. It can flip the favors totally, in my opinion. So it's hard to say who's the best, but in theory, it should be GAIJIN, but I wouldn't bet money on it.
So Lynex, which team will take the spot of Red Instinct as the competitor to GAIJIN in the Swisscom Hero League?
I think it will definitely be CG because they are composed of a lot of Kings players from before. So I definitely think it will be CG that takes Red Instinct's place. Yeah, so CG.
So Lynex, do you think the GAIJIN, aka New Kings roster, is better or worse than the old one?
I think it's hard to say, especially since we haven't seen them play really. On paper, I would say they're about equally as good in my opinion, because it's not like they swapped a player which was massively worse or massively better than the player they had in the roster before. So I would say they're still about the same strength, in my opinion. The only thing that will change is how much how much firepower the other teams will have this season. So it's not that Kings will just roll over everyone. It might be that they have some resistance, and I think that will be the difference in the end. But I think the roster is at the same strength as before.
So Lynex, what can you say about the newcomers, PriFu?
I think that they will make some damage. I think they have been underestimated by some people in the Swiss scene, especially some people in the Hero League, which I find a bit sad, because I've also been at that place one point where people underestimate you, which definitely plays in your favor if you're PriFu. They had very close games last season. They didn't get a lot of wins, but they had very close games. And I think people are not really seeing that. They're just saying, oh, they didn't win any game. They won like one game or two games. Well, I have to say, yeah, but then they haven't really looked at how PriFu played. In addition, they had a roster change this season, if I remember correctly. And I think that roster change was for the good. That's what I know from the PriFu guys, obviously. So I'm expecting to see some damage done by PriFu. I don't know how far they will come, but it will definitely not be like last season. And I think people will be, I wouldn't say shocked, but they will be surprised about how good PriFu is, in my opinion, because I wouldn't underestimate them.
So Lynex, can you give me a player to watch this season?
Well, I wouldn't say a player, but like I said before, I would definitely look out for PriFu. Just because, like I said, I really think they will do some damage. I hope, otherwise I will look stupid now later on. So I hope they do some damage. Otherwise, I'm not really sure if there's any new and upcoming Swiss players in the scene right now, or in the league, let's say like this. And we obviously have people with their import players and everything that they're new in the Swiss scene, yes, but they're not, for me, Swiss players.
Yeah.
So I don't know how long will they stay in the Swiss scene.
Mm-hmm.
But for Swiss personalities, I would really say PriFu, and yeah, that would probably be it in my opinion.
But if you had to choose maybe someone from PriFu, which player would it be?
Probably Dao or the Nirmo.
Mm-hmm.
Nirmo is next teammate for me. My opinion, he plays good CS. Like when I watch PriFu, it's mostly him or Dao that plays really good. I'm not saying that the other guys don't play good.
Sure,
that is an understatement. But I would really say those two have personally impressed me the most until now.
So Lynex, tell me, who's the star of mYinsanity?
I think this question is fundamentally flawed. We didn't start when we made mYinsanity. We all said from the start, please do not look on who made which kills, who has how much ADR and everything, because yes, it might start off as a joke, and after like 2-3 months, someone might take it personal because he's not doing the frags, he's not doing the amount of damage he needs to do. And we said, listen, we don't care about the stats really. As long as we win, everyone does their job, that's fine. Well, people will probably still want an answer to this question because they want a name.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, he will hate me for saying his name, but it's going to be Nico. He will hate me for saying this, obviously, but he's just very good and talented, and he can bait me 24/7. I will never be mad because I'll run in for him and die for him. But like I said, I don't think that it's not healthy for a team environment to say, oh, you're the star player. I really like that we all work together, and like I said, we win together and you lose together. It doesn't bring me anything if I make 30 kills or he makes 30 kills and we lose the game. So yeah, it's either winning together or losing together.
So Lynex, tell me, which team will surprise this season?
I think my answer is pretty obvious given the other questions. Like I said, I think it's PriFu, just because people underestimate them, and I think they will do some damage, and I really hope they will.
So is there anything else you would like to say to the fans, Lynex?
I would like to thank everyone who is cheering for us, or who is cheering for me as well. We hope to make the best of the season, to make the fans happy, obviously. And we would like if people vote for us in the votings for the streams, obviously. And if you do, thank you very much. And then we will hopefully see you in the stream later.